Well, it is just that time of year, isn't it? It's basically Halloween. Actually, if you're watching this, it is Halloween, so happy Halloween. I'm gonna make a hearse today. It just seems thematically appropriate. Right before I go any further, I just want to say thank you to the support of the people who have been supporting me via the join button. Some of them for over a year now at this point. I'm very thankful for these guys. This is the best way to support my channel, so if you're interested, it's there. Anyway, so on to the build. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be using this 1947 van, and now there are a few reasons for that, but we're going to have to get through a bit of the build to get there, so let's go. Keeping in mind that the model year of this is 1947, we don't have a lot of options. Things are quite limited back in these days, and so I'm just going to build it to be semi-realistic, but at the same time I'm not going for period correctness in the slightest, so I'm just going to build it how I see fit. It's probably not going to be that powerful. I'm mostly going for the theme of the look of having a hearse, not so much the engine. So that being said, it's going to be a steel ladder frame. I think that just makes the most sense with a steel chassis, and I think it's probably going to need leaves in both the front and the back because these things were meant to take some weight. So I'm going to make a brand new engine, as I most often do, and it's going to be rear wheel drive. It could possibly be front. Actually, I don't know about front wheel drive in 1947. Never mind. But let's make it a 90-degree V8, and we'll crank up this displacement. So what I'm going to attempt to do here is make an engine that's a bit of a stroker, I guess. It's a massive torque monster, hopefully, because this hearse is going to weigh a lot. But it's a 7.1 liter V8 with push rods, of course. And yeah, hopefully that's enough grunt to get it going. Because it's got such high stroke, it's going to be more of a low-end torque monster, hopefully, and not rev up too high. That's kind of my goal, because push rods aren't even good at RPM either, so hopefully that can work together. On to the internals, we're going cast iron. Let's go... You know what, heavy duty cast is good for me. Let's go heavy duty cast as well. The gist of this is that it's a truck engine in a car because the car needs to be able to carry heavy weights. On to the compression and cam profile. I'll worry about that stuff in a bit. Obviously no turbos in 1947. And on to the fuel system. Let's do a single barrel carb. Let's do a single carb as well with a standard intake. Nothing too fancy and just regular gas. Although keep in mind it is leaded fuel, so it is far superior if you want to die. And I decided to give it both mufflers because it probably needs them. It just kind of makes sense to me that it would have them being something that needs to be quiet. It's not meant to be heard. We could definitely make like a rat version of this limo at some point, but for now, it's just going to be the basics. Okay, obviously something's wrong here. We've got 100% knocking, tons of valve float, and a lot of bad things happening. Obviously the RPM is way too high because it says max is 3,500. That is really shockingly low. This is going to be interesting. So the fuel I'm using is 92 octane, and we're currently requiring 103 to be able to work, and that would be why it's not working very well. This thing would just shatter before it actually went anywhere. So the gist of it is we need to increase the fuel mixture and we need to lower the compression. Those are the two easiest ways to fix that. Okay, that's looking a little bit better right there. 169.4 horsepower, a lot of torque, which is great, 402 newton meters. I'm going to try to work this thing so that that goes down just a little bit. We don't want peak all the way up at the top if we can help it, so a low cam profile would be good. Low compression, I guess. You know what, I'm actually pretty happy with that. 163 horsepower is not bad at all for this kind of engine. The biggest restriction we have, and it is a significant restriction, is the intake, but that's just kind of period correct, because a single carburetor just seems natural on this. It would be kind of weird if it had a dual one, at least I think so. Alright, well I messed with everything enough, I think that's good enough for the engine. We've got 163 horsepower, 430.1 newton meters of torque at 1500 RPM. This thing may as well be a diesel. Okay, this is where it gets fun because I want to use this van body all the way down here. This thing is 3 meters long, and despite being a van, it actually has some really cool morphing capabilities, and that's kind of why I picked this body. I don't see many people using this one, but I like it quite a bit. Just because of, look at how many places you can move, like every individual piece is movable, so let's work with that. Now, hearses tend to have high roofs, and that was one thing that was a bit of a requirement for me in terms of this build, of wanting to get it so that it has that bit of high roof look to it, because otherwise it's just, I mean, it's just a wagon. So if we put a high roof on this thing, you can see that it kind of turns into an RV, I guess, if you really wanted to put a bed in there. I mean, we're going to put a different kind of bed in there, but let me just lower this thing down just a little bit so it's popping up a touch, but not too much. Just like that. And now the front end here has some interesting abilities as well. We can shrink and widen that if we want to. I think what I'm going to do, I don't really like how that is now, so I'm going to shrink it just a little bit, and I'm going to morph these downwards and inwards so they're not sticking out too much, and then I'm going to do the rest with the lights. In terms of the hood, I'm just going to lower it down a little bit, and I do want the fenders to be out just a little bit, just a little. It just seems, oh wait, we don't want those out, we want these out. We do have 2 fender widening options on this car, which is really cool. And on the back end, just gotta raise these, you know what, let's lower them down. Actually, they should be up and back. I think that just looks a little bit nicer. And the back end, suck that in a touch, and longer or shorter? Probably longer, let's be real. Okay, I think I'm finished in what I want to do in terms of body customization. The car is looking pretty Hearse-like, not really, but we do have some other work to do, specifically with the paint. Now this one is an obvious choice, it has to be black, but it needs to be like a very specific kind of black, so let's go advanced and make something more interesting here. So I could just paint it pure black and just add a bunch of chrome and be done with it, but I do want to add a little bit to it. Shine and flake, I'm not so sure about. Never sure about those. They don't usually turn out well in Beam, but no pearl, of course. Just gotta kind of find the true black in here. Okay, you know what? This is gonna be a rare opportunity for me. I don't usually do this, but I'm gonna paint the car black, just a little bit off of the like pure black color, but with shine and flake. I generally don't add those in, but there you go. A nice shiny, completely darkened Hearse. Now, one thing I wasn't sure about with this body, and I don't know still, I haven't tested this, but we might be able to make the, oh, you know what, we're probably not going to be able to make the top into a like leather material, but that would be great if we could. You know, we can get pretty darn close though, my goodness, because I can make that same black again, but just the dark top version. You know what, I'm going to do it. Let's experiment a little bit. Let's make it a leather top with a little bit of shine or no shine. You know what, just no shine. No shine, no flake, just a pure leather top on this thing. It looks like a convertible almost. Okay, now for the trim. Right now it is plastic. That is simply not gonna do. It needs to be chrome as chrome can be, and obviously just a kind of regular chrome. Maybe a little bit darker, nice dark chrome, and shine and flake all the way up for chrome as usual. Okay, so we're getting a little bit closer. That is a little bit more stylized like a Hearse, just a touch. Obviously I still have a ton of work to do. This is where things get difficult because I have some reference pictures, but I don't exactly know what I'm going to do yet. My alternative, if I can't get it to look the way I want, is just to turn it into an ambulance, so let's hope we don't get there. But anyway, let's get started on this. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure where to start. Okay, so there are some things that are extremely important on cars of this vintage. Mainly, I need to figure out what I'm doing for the bumper, because that's how everything is going to kind of fit together. So we have a couple options down here. I can kind of just pre-pick one. It's pretty easy to just go with this. It's a 45, so it kind of just fits pretty much regardless. Just widen the thing, make it a little bit bigger, and slap her on there, and that would be that. But I do want to do a little bit more than that. So yeah, we'll work with this. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I darken the chrome. I just made it the same as the window trim chrome, so that just makes things a little bit less bright, because again, this is supposed to be a bit of a dark vehicle. I'm very loosely basing this off of the DeSoto Diplomat Hearse. I'll show a picture of it on screen. I'm trying to read off my second monitor there, but yeah, I can't pronounce even the most basic of words sometimes, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. It's very loosely based on that, and hopefully I can kind of get that same style in. That's what I'm trying to do, at least. Okay, so I lightened up the trim color just a little bit because I think it was a touch too dark, but we are headed in the right direction. A lot of these things here are pretty much exactly what I was looking for, so yeah, this is going to be hopefully good. One thing I'm a big fan of on this car is the marker lights, or I guess they're the turning signals down below. they just seem to fit in perfectly, and they kind of match up with the grille as well with a piece of chrome. So I'm going to give that a shot in my own way, and we'll see if it actually works or not. Okay, so this is a bit strange, but here's what I've created so far. Essentially, I put these little pieces in here, and you know what? I just realized that I don't really like them. But I do have some lights in. These are the modular headlights. I haven't been using them in a lot of my videos, but I'm kind of trying to start using them, so that's what I'm doing now. They stick out a little bit, which is okay. This is kind of where the styling is going to diverge from the previous builds that I've done. I know I've done a build with a body very similar to this one, and they always just end up looking like a frog. Like right now it kind of just looks like a frog, but I'm gonna try my hardest to make it not look like a frog. And yeah, this is the first step in doing so, or maybe I failed already, I don't know. Okay, so it looks like it's crying. I apologize in advance, but my goodness, this is turning out a little bit creepier than I imagined it would be, and a lot more complicated than I thought it would be as well. I was trying to replicate that sort of grill piece that goes across here, and I was starting to kind of put some of the other pieces together, and then I ended up creating this. Don't know whether that's a good or a bad thing. Okay, my goodness, I have been working on this front end for a while, and I think I've finally finished with what I'm going to do with it. There's not going to be a plate on the front, but yeah. This is a very interesting looking vehicle. It does look ever so slightly creepier than I imagined it would, but I'm kind of happy about that. It's pretty cool. It's the small details that count, and I just added a bunch of them. Hopefully you'll be able to notice, but I'll point them out anyways. We've got door handles, we've got mirrors, and we also have wipers. And now I'm just adding some trim, and then I think we'll be able to get on to the back. I also want to put some designs here, although it doesn't seem like back in these days they actually had much in terms of design on here. I'm guessing it varied car by car, but the one that I'm looking at is very plain, so yeah, I think we'll just kind of go with that style. I definitely don't mind that subtlety. Okay, that's looking pretty darn good. I put some trim around the side of it, got some chrome exhaust on the rear, and yeah, I guess it's time that we put some lights on this car. Oh boy. The design of it has actually gone surprisingly well. It's gone much better than I thought it would, but here we are anyways. The hearse of, yeah, you know what, I wouldn't mind if this thing carried me to the graveyard. That wouldn't be that bad. As long as I'm actually dead, that is, not when I'm alive, please no. So from what I'm seeing, the taillights on these cars were integrated into the chrome and were very small. The emphasis was definitely not on the taillights themselves, so I've got to do something with that, and we also need a back bumper. That's pretty darn important. And of course, before I forget, we need a handle on the back, because how else are you supposed to open up the door to get the people inside of it? So let's put one of those over here. Right, so it has been some time. Time has passed since the last time you saw this, and this is the back end. Yeah, not quite as amazing as you may have thought, but it does have everything it needs, and I think I kind of tried to tie it together a little bit. The gist of it is that there's chrome coming up here and around. This chrome trim here copies the height of the chrome trim on the side, and then this is kind of a multi-piece bumper here, and then those are just period correct lights that I thought kind of looked okay, so that's what we've got. I decided to put BC on there because BC can be scary. I don't know, sometimes it's on fire, sometimes it's not. And I put a gas cap on because I figured that was kind of important. This thing probably needs fuel. But yeah, that's it. Oh, I've also come up with a name. It's called the Despacito Deadbringer, with a big V8 1947, as you would suspect. Yeah, I'm particularly happy with the way that this turned out. I think it just needs to be widened just a little bit and lowered quite a lot, and then we'll be off to the non-races, because I mean there's no rush at this point. Okay, so I did jump ahead a little bit so that I could get the exhaust to plumb in correctly. I just wanted to see what it would look like, but yeah, we're going rear-wheel drive manual with a 4-speed. It claims that it can do 200 k's an hour. I really don't want to do 200 k's an hour in this, so I'm actually just going to cap it at, you know what, 150. Let's just say that. Skipping on through, we've got hard long life tires. They are very small, but that is as wide as they can be. The only way we can get them wider, I believe, is to shrink down the rim size, and I don't think it's worth it. 13s or 14s seem to be just right. Something that is important to me, as I said before, is putting a little bit of offset on there. Just a little bit. I don't want it to stick out too much or anything, but just because they were really tucked in before. I did widen the fenders, so that's possibly my fault there. Okay, so I did compromise a little bit. I think I'm going to go 14s, but I am keeping the tire actual thickness quite significant so that the width of them can be a bit bigger because they were far too small before. They're up from 145 to 175, and I think that's just a little bit more reasonable, so there we go. That looks pretty decent. Onto the brakes, we basically have no choice, so we'll just go with what they give us. We'll have to change the sizing based on if it can stop or not. I mean, there's no stopping when you're on your way to the grave, but yeah, we can try. And we don't need any under tray or anything like that. Brake airflow, sure, we'll give it 5. I mean, these brakes would have just been out in the open anyways. And the interior, well, this is important. We're going for a 3-seater. It's going to be a very, very nice interior because these cars are supposed to be nice. The driver is having a good time in that handmade interior. And in terms of safety, we'll just go for standard 40 safety. And there we go. We actually have graphs now. Let's take a look. Okay, before we go too far, I should point out that that's the lowest it goes. Unfortunately, that is literally the lowest it'll go with this double leaf spring setup. And wheel spin, severe issues. Great. Well, I guess we're spinning the wheels in every gear with this Hearse because, yeah, I might not be able to fix that with wheels this crappy. Either way, let's give it a shot. Okay, so with a top speed of 149, it still thinks we can do 199. If I crank that up, we're going to lower our wheel speed or our wheel spin enough that it might make it a little bit better. So you know what? I'm going to do it just for the sake of the wheel spin. Claim that this thing can do 200 k's an hour, and apparently it's a grand touring car. How could this be possible? Yeah, that basically fixed the wheel spin, so yeah, feeling good about that, although our 10% wheel spin is mostly in first gear, as you would suspect. Okay, the brakes are way, way, way too small, so I'm going to make them the largest that they can be, and I'm going to hope and pray that we can stop, and the answer to that is probably not, because my goodness, it's 1947, and I really don't know. I put the brake bias up, I put the pad type up, we're just not going to be able to stop properly. That's just how it is. 275s all the way around. They're looking pretty small, to be honest with you. I guess that's just the maximum size because of the rims, but we can't really do more than that anyway, so yeah, that's what we're working with. Aerodynamics, it is making, I guess, yeah, that would be uplift, but I don't particularly care. It doesn't matter. We're not going to be flying anywhere. We're actually going to be going down. And I think that's good. 163 horsepower, 1,551 kilos. This 3-meter Hearse is ready to go. Let's go haul some bodies in the desert because, well, where else will we be? As the Grim Reaper, I think we have some work to do. Just a little bit. Anyways, let's go on to BeamNG and see what the heck happens to this. Alright, so here is the car in BeamNG, and let me just say there was one thing immediately that I noticed I forgot, and that is to put the name of it on the car at all, because currently right now it is very subtle. There is only a badge, and that badge is my logo, so yeah. Not really that much going on here. I really like the leather top, although it does look like it's made out of plastic, which is kind of funny. And the rest of the car is pretty much exactly as I would hope. It looks just right in my mind. And you know what? It drives just right too. So let me show you what that looks like. So we start this bad boy up, back her out, and you'll immediately notice that wheel spin is definitely prominent. Maybe a little bit more than I thought it would be, but you know what? That's not that big a deal. If you're starting off like an actual funeral procession and you want to go slowly, then you can definitely do that. But if you want to spin the wheels in every gear, I mean, you can do that too if you really want to. And that's with 163 horsepower or whatever it was. Not much. One thing that I'm particularly happy about is that it's really hard to drive. And I think that makes thematic sense because these things would not have been easy back in 47. I have no idea. I was not around or even close to being around at that time. But you know what? I'm sure some funeral drivers can attest to that. Now, if I'm trying to drive this sort of like mountainous road, and I'm trying to keep it on the road, then I'm gonna have a really tough time doing so. But if you just kind of drive normally, then it's not that bad, and I guess that's kind of what you would expect. I really like how it bumps and wobbles around as well. I think the suspension is just right, and the weight of it just feels fine too. Obviously, that's the weight empty, so yeah, we kind of need to pick up some weight, don't we? Unfortunately, I don't have a way to put weight inside of the car, but we can just kind of pretend. Well, here we are. Let's burn the rubber all the way up the mountainside. Yeah, I should have made a funeral procession. I could have like 8 of these in a row. That'd be really quite interesting. You know what I'm most interested about though is if I can get up this mountain without having the car overheat. That would be good, especially when I'm basically full throttle all the time. And the fuel economy on this thing, I don't remember what it was, but I don't think it was particularly good either. So if I don't reset, there is potential that I'll run out before the end of this. Can you believe that the game was thinking that this would be a grand touring car? Like, my goodness, I guess GT has taken on some new meaning. Either way, it's Halloween, so I guess I may as well share some stories. I don't exactly have any spooky ones, but I can tell you that back in the day... Oh, hold on a minute. You know what? Let's dodge that. Let's keep going with the stories. But back in the day in my household, we were not able to celebrate Halloween, really. I mean, we did hand out candy. We also handed out stickers instead of candy, which I'm sure disappointed a few kids. But we, for a couple of years, didn't go out for Halloween, mostly because my mom didn't want us to have sugar, which, thinking back, is pretty reasonable. But at the same time, as a kid, we were like, no, please. It was the end of the world if we couldn't go out and get more sugar. This year, things are a little bit different. I don't think that kids are going to be going out for Halloween this year in my area. Not sure what the actual specs on that are these days. I'm not going to be giving out candy, I know that. But back then, on those times when we weren't really supposed to be eating candy and therefore weren't allowed to go out for Halloween, we would instead go to sort of like a fun fair that was hosted by a church. And they also gave you candy, they just didn't give you as much. So it was a bit of a compromise, I guess, because we needed something to do while everybody else was out there having fun. So yeah, it did work out okay, I guess, but looking back as a kid, obviously I wanted to go out. These days, it's probably better that I didn't have that sugar. Here in Canada, we have Canada's Wonderland. It is a theme park. I believe it's the only significant one here. It's the only one I know of. Anyway, there might be some in BC that I don't know about, or I don't know. BC is a strange place. But anyway, so Canada's Wonderland every year has this thing called Halloween Haunt. And apparently it's basically you just go to the theme park and they try to get more money out of you by making everything Halloween themed, and the entire area is a haunted house. I haven't gone yet, and obviously this isn't the year to go, but that is something I'd want to do in the future. It's cool though. You should definitely look up some videos of people being scared at Halloween Haunt at Canada's Wonderland. You know, I was trying to think of some scary stories that I could tell for this video, but I really... Oh wow. Say goodbye to our exhaust. It's not like we really needed it anyway. Oh wait, it's still there. Pretty strong. But yeah, I don't exactly have any scary stories. I don't know, I'm scared by simple things, not really like spiders or things like that. Back when I was a kid, I was afraid of sleeping without any music on. That sounds pretty dumb. It was. But I'm not really somebody who consumes horror media at all. I used to be very afraid of Left 4 Dead, for instance. I couldn't really play it by myself. I was too scared. I used to be really afraid to play anything, actually. Oh man, I used to be afraid of a lot of things. Okay, that is significantly darker than I thought it would be. Lights on, we're going into the creepy cave, everybody. Please fasten your seatbelts. Or... Oh, that was bumpy. Oh, goodness. Okay. Well, yeah, that splash was definitely worth it, but my goodness, I didn't think that was going to happen. But yeah, I don't watch horror movies, I don't play horror games very often. It was a pretty significant struggle picking something out to play this evening, because I am going to be streaming tonight, if you're watching this video. Halloween night, yes, there is going to be a stream with my fiance and I. Pardon the glitching car there. I don't think that I can get through this way, I'm just too fat. Well, back out in the brightness we go, and I apologize for your eyes in advance on that cut. But yeah, I picked a game called Drive for Survival. And it's not exactly a horror game, it's just a car-based apocalypse game where you're... Oh no, well, I'll just let this one play out. But yeah, it's a car-based apocalypse game where you try and take care of your car and survive, and I was like, you know what? Maybe people will find this interesting, so yeah, that's what we're gonna be doing. There goes one of our wheels. It's not like we really needed that anyway. Goodbye, wheel. Goodbye, world as well. There's this guy in my neighborhood with a really loud diesel truck, and he just drove by. That's the first time he's driven by while I'm recording a video, so I'm gonna count that as a blessing because it wasn't during an important moment or anything. My goodness. Loud diesel trucks? Come on. Just annoying. You see, I say that and I'm gonna end up having a really loud car in the future, and then the same people like me are gonna be annoyed by it. Alright, back on topic here. This hearse is, it's hearsing around, isn't it? Oh, please laugh. You know, I do like making puns, but I am all out of them for now. I really do like the name of this, the Deadbringer. That was actually a mistype. It was supposed to be Deathbringer. And then it became Deadbringer, which is way better. But yeah, I think it's time to put the Deadbringer to rest. I think that's it for the hearse until I make a racing version of it. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. And I'll see you guys next time. Oh yeah, don't be afraid to like this video and comment what you think about it, what you think about this car, anything pretty much. It all helps. And yeah, if you're interested in this kind of content, be sure to subscribe to my channel. I make videos like this. I also have been making some IRL videos recently, although they haven't been quite as popular. I would suggest you go and watch them. I think they're pretty good. If you have some constructive criticism for me on how I can make them better, that would be great too. But yeah, that's going to be it for this one. I'll see you guys again in a bit, but first, it's the join button, people. We've got Overlord, That Right-Stood Explorer, Cutie Bear, Terry Williams, The Most Random Person, Sick D Cars and Stuff, and Jug. Thank you guys for your support. I appreciate all of you. Overlord, you have been supporting for a year now, and I appreciate that a lot. Other guys, 10 months, 8 months, 9 months. Another one, Dr. Ivo, 12 months. My goodness. 15 months for Victus on the supporter role. You guys are awesome. I appreciate all of you a lot. Thank you for your continued support through this method. And yeah, my goodness. It's good to have some stability. See you guys again next time.